You want to lose weight, get in shape, and finally feel confident in that style you wish you could pull off. You want to save money, build wealth, and stop living paycheck to paycheck so you can spend more time doing the things you really love. And you want to wake up early, feel good, alert, and motivated without stress immediately weighing you down. You have goals that you know would change your life, but before you take action, you overthink, you push it for another time, you tell yourself you'll start tomorrow, but when tomorrow comes, you still don't think it's the right time, and you can't quite explain why. So how is it that the people we admire are living our dreams while we can't seem to make ends meet? How are they just able to do great things? I've spent the last 15 years challenging those 4 pre-programmed distortions or biases to build the life I envisioned I could live. I went from weighing 224 pounds to 170 pounds in a couple of months. I pushed myself academically and now have a GPA of 3.55, and I also became a member of one of the oldest honor societies. Financially, I climbed from making $20,000 a year to $75,000 in just 2 years and hit $90,000 last year, and because of that, I've went from having to work 5 days a week to choosing to work 3 or 4. And in between all these challenges and accomplishments, I met the love of my life, and without wasting any time, I threatened her romantically. We're engaged. She's not going anywhere but with me. But here's the thing. Everything I just told you started with a single idea, a vision of what I wanted to materialize into my own existence. The only difference is I researched and understood what it was about myself that it was keeping me trapped in a loop of disappointment and unhappiness. I learned about the hidden programming in my own brain that was holding me back, and I changed it. I took action on it and never looked back. Now I'm going to show you how to do the same. So the best way to go about explaining this is to break it down into 3 questions. First, where are modern humans today compared to their ancestors? This is an important context that we need so that we can have the bigger picture, or as big a picture as possible. Second, how did this programming end up in our brain, and how does it keep us trapped in a loop? This is important because to address our problems, we need to know where they come from, how they work, and how they affect our lives. And finally, what can we do about them? So let's jump right in. Here's a casual breakdown of how long each of our ancestors were around compared to how long modern humans have been around. And we're gonna start with Homo habilis, who was on the planet for about 1 million years total. In that time, habilis developed a bigger brain, and their key achievement was basic stone tools. Then we had Homo erectus, who was around for about 1.8 million years total. And as the name states, they were the first to walk fully upright, which freed our hands for more complex tool use and their feet for long distance exploration. Their key achievement was the use of fire in a controlled way. They used it to cook food, stay warm, and for protection against predators. Then we have the Neanderthals, who were only around for about 360,000 years total. Neanderthals created sophisticated tools like blades, spears, axes, and learned how to make those tools with resin and tar, but their key achievement was early social behaviors like art and burial rituals. And finally, there's us, modern humans, and we have only been around for about 300,000 years. During that time, though, we have developed complex language, agriculture, and permanent settlements. That was followed by advanced civilizations and modern technology. And if you're curious, our key achievements so far are likely digital innovations like the internet, smartphones, and AI, amongst obviously so many other things. So now that we have some context as to where we are on the evolutionary timeline, how did this programming end up in our brain? Well, it first made its appearance in our earliest ancestors, and it then became hardwired in our genetics to guarantee our survival. Also, I don't know why I pointed at my head when I said genetics, because that's not where all the genetics are, but I'm trying my best. While our bodies evolved for movement, our brains weren't yet capable of processing complex information. Our genetics changed faster than our mental capabilities. Our ancestors had to rely on mental shortcuts to make decisions faster. For example, our ancestors developed short-term focus to give priority to immediate needs like food and safe. Short-term focus today, though, causes us all to struggle with long-term planning. That's a fact. We also have a natural fear of the unknown. New things used to be dangerous. Now we all resist change, even when it can change our lives for the better. We have a sensitivity to loss as well. Losing resources was a bigger threat than gaining new ones. We're still like that to this day. We're afraid of losing what we already have, like a stable job. So we're hesitant to strive for more, like a better, fulfilling career. Our ancestors relied on energy conservation because wasting energy could mean death. Nowadays, it's really easy to default to laziness and shortcuts like ordering an unreasonable amount of DoorDash. There are a lot more mental adaptations that our ancestors embraced, but the one I really want to mention is pain avoidance. Obviously, pain signaled danger to our ancestors, but this evolutionary trait affects us deeply today because we tend to avoid discomfort, even when growth requires it. But here's the catch. While our intelligence evolved, our instincts didn't. Those ancient survival instincts are still running in the background, shaping our decisions, relationships, and behaviors at this very moment. Those mental shortcuts became instincts, and they were so successful in keeping us alive that they were passed on from Homo habilis and now on to us. They once kept us alive, but now that our modern life is vastly different from the life of our ancestors, they hold us back. If we want to change our personal lives and live to experience the things that we can only dream of, we'll have to learn how to override those outdated instincts and begin to practice replacing them with updated versions. And to learn how to override them, well, we first need to learn to spot them when they're at work. And it turns out that it's pretty simple to catch on to them because they work in loops. So what are those loops that keep us from changing our lives, and how do they work? Let's take a look at an example. Entering a new romantic relationship, the modern challenge could be you meet someone new and exciting, but diving into a new relationship feels risky. So your ancient instincts kick in and like short-term focus. You worry about the immediate pain of potential rejection or heartbreak, giving priority to short-term emotional safety. You might also fear the unknown, right? Your brain flags the uncertainty of deep emotional connection and as dangerous, making you hesitant to fully open up. Your tribal survival instinct might kick in where you lean towards staying with someone familiar, even if it's not ideal, because your instincts tell you that sticking with the known group is safer. So the immediate outcome, you hold back emotionally or avoid committing fully, keeping the relationship superficial to protect yourself, and the long-term consequences, well, you miss out on the deep, fulfilling connection and personal growth. Over time, if you keep doing this, the same thing over and over again, this pattern reinforces your fear, making future relationships even harder to fully engage. This loop shows how our ancient survival instincts can make us wary of taking risks in love, even when the potential rewards are truly worth it. Take this other example. You get a job offer. That means moving to a new city, a chance for a career growth and new experiences, but your ancient instincts kick in. Short-term focus might cause you to worry about the immediate hassle of moving, like finding a new apartment and adjusting to your daily routine. The fear of the unknown kicks off, maybe some massive anxiety over exploring an unfamiliar city, meeting new colleagues, and stepping out of your comfort zone. And your tribal survival instinct emphasizes that you'll miss your current circle of friends and family, which has always been your safety. So your immediate outcome could be that you decide to stay in your current job and city, enjoying the short-term comfort of security of the familiar, but while the long-term consequences are that you miss out on potential career growth, exciting new experiences, and personal development. This choice reinforces your preference for staying in your comfort zone, making changes harder in the future. This cycle shows how our ancient survival instincts can trap us in a loop of what's familiar, even when a life-changing opportunity is right in front of us. They keep us in a loop because of our neurological wiring that has been in development since Homo habilis. So again, it's not your fault. It's kind of how you are, how we all are. So these biases aren't a ghost in the machine. Let me emphasize that. They have physical structures, pathways in the brain where they live and thrive if they're not challenged. For example, the amygdala in our brains processes fear and contributes to our hyperfocus on the negative things in our lives while we forget to appreciate the good things or miss them altogether. The prefrontal cortex helps us make rational decisions and control impulsive reactions, but it's also the home of little gremlins that selectively process information to support our existing beliefs while ignoring contradictory evidence. The anterior cingulate cortex detects mistakes and resolves conflicting information, which is awesome. Unless we have conflicting beliefs, then our brain feels uncomfortable and produces reasons to justify our poor actions. For example, a smoker that knows smoking is bad for their lungs convinces himself that it's not that bad to avoid feeling conflicted about smoking. And the hippocampus helps store and retrieve memories, but if we're not mindful, those memories can make us believe some wanky things. For example, let's say you just spent an hour or two watching wholesome videos of people winning the lottery. You then might start to tell yourself you can win the lottery too, despite the fact that statistically you're likely to have more money by saving money than by winning the lottery. So finally, what can we do about them? Well, the first thing that can be really helpful is to categorize them into the 4 most destructive distortions that we know of, thanks to really smart people that have already done the work for us. There are 4 ancestral lies that your brain is programmed to tell you, and they're destroying your dreams right where you stand. So here's the first bit though. It all starts with good news. You're not lazy or stupid or dumb. By now you've realized that you don't have the life you want, and it's kind of not your fault. So why is positive massive change in life so hard to make. Like we've already learned, our brains are wired to give priority to safety and familiarity because for most of human history, change or trying something new meant danger and, the death thing. This pre-programmed feature in our brains is called the status quo bias. Let's break this down quickly. A 2016 study found that the brain's amygdala, which controls our fear responses, is highly active when we're faced with something that makes us feel uncertain or when we are in an unfamiliar situation. This activation triggers stress, which forces us to avoid change and only stick to what we know. That's why, although we consciously know what we need to do to make new exciting things happen, we often don't follow through because our brains perceive new habits as threats, so we naturally resist. The most powerful modern biocomputer on the planet is ironically pre-programmed to avoid change. That's why setting goals and never meeting them isn't your fault. It's actually what your ancestors taught you to do. I go through this a lot. I come up with a video idea, a thumbnail idea, and a script. After hours of work, I begin to feel like I'm not making something people are going to learn from or find valuable for their lives. I want so much to help you find the happiness that you seek that the emotional pressure of that dream makes all of my amygdala rev with stress and fear. I know firsthand that change is hard and it's scary, and it triggers irrational feelings of embarrassment and insecurity. But because I'm aware of that, those feelings are an illusion, I push forward anyways, unapologetically. So next up, we have the confirmation bias. Our ancestors needed to trust the information that was given to them from generation to generation to stay alive. Today, this bias continues to thrive in our social bonding, and it can create a distorted reality in life. For example, I'm from a city called Pomona here in California, and I grew up surrounded by gangs, drugs, alcohol, violence in school, and even violence in my own home. This was my reality, and for a long time, I was convinced that the lives other people lived, going to college, graduating, making a ton of money, living in my dream city of San Francisco, or even meeting my soulmate were things that weren't for people like me. I would look at my life and see nothing. No easy opportunities, nowhere to get help, no one to tell me I could live a better and safer life even. Because all I saw was fear, violence, and misery, I just kind of accepted it. How could I not, right? Everything I saw was proof. It felt like other people just had something I didn't. Like they were completely different people who were capable and I didn't even have a clue of where to begin. Here's the thing though, I did have opportunities presented to me. I got into a great high school after middle school where there was support and care. I just couldn't see it because by then I was already convinced that all those good things weren't for me. I wasn't even supposed to be there. Talk about imposter syndrome, I guess. So I ruined it. I got kicked out and sent to a continuation school where my misfortune got even worse, of course. I met the wrong crowd, started fighting a lot, and got in trouble with the law. All of it compounding into that very ancient belief that all there is what I could see and nothing more for me. We really are a product of our environment even to this day, and if you're not careful, it'll ruin your life like it did mine for most of my life. You're probably wondering, why couldn't I just leave the city, live a better life in a better environment? Well, next up, we have something called loss aversion. Our ancestors feared losing resources like food, water, and shelter because they were very limited. If they took risks with those resources, it could mean starvation or exposure to predators followed by, death. It was definitely safer to protect what they already had than to risk it for uncertain gains like going after a larger predator or moving to safer territory. Those who were more cautious survived longer and passed on their genes, making it very scary and nerve-wracking for me to just get up and go somewhere I actually could thrive. Now, let me introduce you to negativity bias. This program came from learning from pain. Touching fire, eating poisonous plants, or getting injured left strong negative memories. The brain reinforced these memories to avoid repeating those mistakes. This all sounds like good things, and they are, but this instinct created one big problem for our ancestors that continues to cause problems for us today. If an ancestor faced constant failures, like failing to hunt, find shelter, or start a fire for a few weeks, they might give up trying, believing that external forces would prevent them from succeeding. This often led to starvation and, death. Today, failure convinces millions of people just like me and you to stop trying. When repeated negative experiences like failing to achieve your dreams are stored in your memory, you might stop trying to go after your dreams because you assume failure is inevitable. You might have tried to create content, you might have tried to lose weight, you might have had dreams of one day being a famous actor, and yes, let's put it all on the table right now, those things are all hard to do, but they're not impossible. Other people that went for it, regardless of judgment or pain, have succeeded. It's more likely that failing repeatedly at weight loss or YouTube may have programmed a belief that diets never work for me or you, or nobody watches my channel, so what's the point? Even though you likely haven't tried all the all the possible topics or styles to accomplish those things. If you allow negativity to dominate your outlook, it can result in learned helplessness. These repeated negative experiences can make you believe you have no control over your situation, even when opportunities for something better exist. That's one of the reasons we have a hard time convincing people we love that they can do better in romantic lives, in their financial situations, and in their quality of life. And we also suffer from that same programming. We can see where other people can do better, but we're easy to miss where we ourselves can live better lives, often wondering why other people are living our dreams while we can't make ends meet. Here's the really good news. We don't need these protective instincts to go full throttle on us anymore. We can take unimaginable risks right now and generally be okay if they don't work out. So finally, what then can we do to rewire our brain to stop putting unnecessary barriers up when we want to change our stagnant lives? Like I told you at the beginning of this video, our brains have been lying to us. Learning about our brain's old and outdated programming and understanding where they come from was our first step. Because this video is already so long, I decided to break it into 2 parts to make it easier for you to process. So on my next video, I'm going to put it all on the table for you. Hundreds of hours of research, books I've read, and my personal experiences with challenging all those ancient instincts that became today's lies, so that you can hopefully find value in it and use it in your own life to get everything you deserve. And if I had just one thing that I hope you learned in this video, just the one thing, I would say that I hope you learned that you can change. You can change yourself, and you can change your life for the better. You just have to evolve to do it. Thank you for watching, and please like and subscribe if you learned something, or if my video was helpful, and if you'd like to watch my next video on how to change your brain's old lies to new truths. See you on the next one.